Hi, this is Robin from Crazy Art, and we're going to show you how to make the girl band buddy with the Crazy Loom. Working with the Crazy Loom for the band buddies, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that your loom is set up so it looks like an upside down U, and you see the notches on the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the bands from the top down, and we're going to pick and loom the bands from the bottom up. So you just can keep the loom in one place, so it makes it a lot easier. So what we have to do first for the little girl is we have to make her little pigtails or braids and her arms. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll work on the figure. So to make her hair, we have this really bright orange, is you're going to start at the top, and unless I tell you otherwise, we're going to use 2 bands every time. What this does is it makes it a sturdier band buddy. So what we're going to then do is you have some purple pony beads, and you're going to push 2 of the bands through the pony bead. And when you stretch it out on each side, you're then going to place it on the next set of posts. And what that's going to make it, it's going to make it look like it's a little ponytail holder. You're then going to follow up with 6 more sets of 2 orange bands. And you're going to go down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what we're going to do is what is called a stopper band. All right, to do the stopper band, what you're going to do is you're going to take a single band and you're going to twist it around your fingers 2 or 3 times, whatever you're able to do. And then one way that you can help put it on is you can take your hook and then you stretch it out and you're putting it on that last post. And what that does is when you start to pick and loom forward, that's going to keep the bands from not falling apart. You're going to do 2 of the ponytails, but I'm also going to show now how you can do the arms. And you can do all of these on one loom, and then I'll show you how to pull them off, and then we'll work on the little girl. You're going to do 4 sets of 2 purple bands. Again, we're starting at the top, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You're then going to take 2 of the flesh tone bands, and then just as I had shown you with the ponytail, you're going to twist and make a stopper band with a flesh color band. So now take a look and you'll see what the setup is for the ponytail and of the arm, and you'll make 2 of each. All right, so now we have the 2 ponytails and the 2 arms. See how we're able to fit them all on the one loom? So now we're going to pick them. So what you're going to do, and this is something you'll do for all the band buddies, is you're going to start from the bottom of your design and move forward. So what you do is you can take your hook and you can stretch out that stopper band. And see, I have my finger on there, and see that reveals the 2 bands that you're going to pick and loom forward. So we're going to do that. And then again, if you push down a little bit, you can see those other bands. See, if you push down with your finger, you can see the next set of bands. And you just go and you move forward again. And you're going to just go ahead. And see, that's the one with the band. And then there's that one. So you're going to do them all the same way. Again, with the arm, you're going to pull the stopper band and you're going to loom that forward, and you're going to do the same thing with the other arm and the other ponytail. All right, we now have both of the ponytails and the arms loomed. So what we need to do is, you can't just pull these off without saving them somewhere, because it'll come apart. So what we're going to do is I'll do the arms first. See how I have the hook on that last loomed post? We're going to now pull the arm off, and so see, we're going to add these onto the loom later. But what we'll do is, because it's a nice long hook, we can store them. So I pulled off the second one. Now we're going to show you a little trick with the ponytail. All right, now we need to close off the ponytail, so I'll show you that little trick. So we're going to pull this off. Then what you have here on the hook is the last band. So we have it folded onto the hook. What you're going to do is we're going to lock the bands in place. So you're going to take these two bands and you're going to move it over the other side of the hook. So you're going to move it off the hook. Then what we're going to do is pull on these last two bands. And see what that does, how it locks it in place? So then when I turn it, when we have our little hair, see how that's like the end of her hair and that's like the ponytail holder? So what we're going to do later on is we're going to attach to the loom by the stopper band. So again, we're going to pull that off and you have the last band on here. You're going to pull the two bands that are further away from the end of the hook over and off and pull. And see how that locks that in place? So now it won't come undone. All right, and in the meantime, what you can do is you can put it on the end of your hook and store them until you're ready to add them to the band buddy body, which we're going to work on next. All right, now we're going to start to loom the band buddy girl. So to start off, and this is something that when you're working on all the band buddies, you want to put locking bands on first. So you're just going to take two bands and sit them on the top center post. And then later on, when we come back, these are the bands that you're going to need to lock the whole thing together. And if you put them on first, then you don't have to worry about them later. So then we're going to take additional bands. And so we're going to do two bands again. Unless I say different, you're always using two bands. So two bands from the center to the left, and then two more bands from the center to the right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add on the ponytails. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull the ponytails that we had made before, you're going to pull them off your hook, and you're going to take it by the stopper band, and you're going to put that on these posts. So there's one, and see, a lot of times what you do is if you pull, don't pull too much, but if you pull enough, then you're able to put it on your finger and stretch it out, and then the ponytail is on the right. So we have it on both posts for now. But what we're going to do is, so that you don't have so many rubber bands sitting on the post, we're going to take two more bands and we're going to go from that top post on the right here and go down. And then what you're going to do is hold on to this and pull that stopper band for the ponytail, and you're going to now move the ponytail to the bands between the two posts. So see how now they're sitting there, and when you finish looming your figure, it's going to be fun because they're going to kind of hang. And again, for the left one, you're going to go. And so now we're going to get ready to loom the rest of your figure. All right, now that we've got the hair for the little girl on here, we're now going to take two flesh tone bands and we're going to go down the center and then to the left. We're going to go down one more on the left and one more set of two on the right side. And then we're going to go two more sets down the center. So if you take a look at the face so far, what we're going to have is a set of orange, a set of the flesh tone, on the right side a set of orange and the flesh tone, and down the center is three sets of the flesh tone. So you can see how the face is being formed, and we're now going to close that off on the bottom with diagonal bands, going from the left to center, and then two more flesh tone bands right in center. Now the only place now that we're going to use more bands than the two at a time that I've been talking about is for the neck, and that's just to make it sturdier. So we've got three bands here. We're going to go down the center, from the center piece down the next band, the next post. So we're going to then start with her shirt. So we're going to go, and this is going to be kind of like what we just did with the ponytails before, where we've got the two shoulder bands going from center left, and then two other bands going from center right. And just as we had done with the ponytails, I'm going to now add the arms on. So we'll add the arms onto the post where we just placed the bands on the left and the right side. And just as we had done with the ponytails, we're now going to add for the arms, we're going to add 2 more purple bands, and we're going to slide the arm by the stopper band. We're going to slide it between the 2 posts. And we're going to do the same thing with the right side. All right, so now we have both of our arms on. We're going to then go down the middle. And the way that the little girl is set up, we have a little stripe to her shirt. So we're going to add 3 sets of 2 pink bands. And then we're going to continue down for 2 additional sets of purple bands for her shirt. So we're going to, again, going 2 at a time. 2 down. And the nice thing, the way that this loom is set up, see how we have those nice big tabs on the posts? So it makes it really easy with the way that this loom is set up to look like upside down U's, how you can just quickly put these on and they hook right on the way you want them to. So the next thing we're going to work on after that is her pink skirt. So now we've got her head, we've got her shirt with the stripe, the pink stripe, so we have to have a matching skirt to go with it. So now we're going to do 2 sets of pink bands that are going to go on all 3 rows of the loom. So 2, and then another 2, and then on the right side. When you're working with something like this, that it's just all the same, it doesn't matter as much which order, if you do the first row, second row, third row, but you know, as long as you have that on there. So for the shirt, past the shoulder, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and then for the skirt, 2, 2, and 2. Now we're going to do the legs, and for the legs, we're going to do 2, 4, and so it's 2 bands each. 2 times 3 is 6. Last time I did my math. And we're going to do the same thing for the right leg. And now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to add on the stopper band for the feet. Now, for the stopper bead and band for the little girl, we're going to add a pony bead. So you're going to take 2 purple bands, and if you get it to the end and squish them, and you just push it through the bead, and then what you're going to do is you're going to, see how I stretched it out? You're going to fold it over on your finger, and then if you pull on the bead and put it on that last post, now you have a stopper band that has a bead on it that'll look like her shoe. So you can do the same thing for the other side. You always need to have some kind of a stopper band on the end for when you loom back up, otherwise it'll fall apart. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add on the connector bands. And the connector bands are important for any of your band buddies, because what that does is it keeps it together. Otherwise they would just be separate rows of bands that you've loomed. So this is what makes the body. And also, depending on how tightly you place the bands on will also help to form the body of your girl. So what we're going to do is, to do a connector band, it's only 1 band. So what we're going to do is, you see I have it on the top and the 2 bottom here, so it makes a triangle. So for the skirt, we're just placing it on without twisting it. But we're going to now do, for the shirt, we're going to twist the band on itself, and we're going to add additional bands, connector bands going up. And for the shirt, because we want the shirt to be tighter, and that helps to make the figure a little more, you know, she has a little figure with her, we're going to go and twist up, and then we'll do 1 more with a pink one, because see, here's the pink right there, and see, I twisted it on itself. So what we have is 1 band not twisted, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 bands that are twisted together. And then for the face, we want to keep it round, so we're just going to do 1 flesh band on the top here as our connector band. So what you want to do is you want to now take a look at your figure, Make sure you've got all your bands where you need it, and see that you have all your connector bands the way you need it. And now we're going to get ready to pick and loom. All right, to pick and loom, what we're going to do is, as we had said, we do the bands, we set up the bands from the top down. Well, now we're going to pick and loom from the bottom up. So what you're going to do is you can pull on the pony bead, and see what that does. That reveals the bands that you need to pick. So you're going to pick those forward, and it folds onto the next post, and you're just going to go forward. Now I'm going to start, whether you start on the left side or the right side, it doesn't matter, but you want to do the outside rows first. And what that does is that helps to keep the connector bands in place. Now another thing that you're going to do is, when you get to a connector band, you want to make sure that the band is behind your hook, so that, see how I kind of pushed that out of the way, so that when you pick the bands that are on the post, you can get to it. So again, there's a purple connector band, I'm pushing that one out of the way, and so then I'm going to take the bands and go forward, and I'm just going to go all the way up to the shoulder, and I'm just going to move forward. Again, the connector band behind the hook, move forward. And see, this is what's nice about the arm being between the two bands. You don't have a whole bunch of bands that you have to worry about when you're picking them. So we've got the one side. Now I'm going to go up the right side. Again, I pulled on the bead, and that reveals the bands that you're going to pick. So again, if I push down, see how those bands are there for you to see, and you just take the hook and you move it right up. And the more you've done these, the easier it gets. But take your time. You don't have to rush. So now again, we're to the other connector. We're going to put that behind, and see with my fingers, sometimes don't be afraid to use your fingers to help move the bands out of the way. You know, whatever works. That's what helps you do it. So we're going to again move forward, get that on there, and we're almost to the other shoulder. And just again, take your time, just give it a little wiggle and up. So now we have both of the outside rows picked and loomed up to the shoulder. So now we're going to do the center. Now this one's a little trickier because it's going to fold on itself, but there's not a lot holding it. So what I'm doing is I'm holding on the middle bit a little, and see how that folds up. And again, push the connector band back and move forward. So now we're going to do the center row. It's a good practice to get into, to get in a habit. Like if you're going to do the left side first, always do the left side first, then the right side, then the center, if that's what it calls for, because then you won't miss any bands. Because believe me, I've done that before, and when you pull it off and you forgot a band, you're not a happy person. So we've got these picked so far. Now we're going to go up to the shoulder. So we're going to push back, take the diagonal bands on the right side, go to the center post, and this one's got a lot of bands on it, but that's okay. Then from the left diagonal to the center post. All right, so now we're going to show you how to do the neck. So when you get to the neck, you're going to see there's a lot of bands coming all in here. So what you want to do is you want to push down, and see what happens is you see those, now remember it's 3 for the neck. You'll see those 3 flesh colored bands. So what you can do is if you push down and you give it a wiggle, see, we've got the neck. All right. So now again, we've got 3 sets of bands here. So a neat little trick to do to remember is if you move a little wiggle here and here, you can see which bands that you would put on. Whatever ones you put on last, those are the first ones that you're going to pick. So in this case, it's the one going over here. So I'm going to push and then move those bands to the right. And then I can look here, the next set are the ones going to the left. And give it a wiggle onto the left post. And then the center. All right, so now you have them all going in their right directions. So going back over to the left, up to the top, right to that last post here where the ponytail is hanging, and then do the right side. And as I had said before, the reason you're going to do that is if you do the left side then the right side, or the right side then the left side, is that's going to help keep those connector bands, and it's going to lock them into place. So now, see, you have your little teardrops, so you know you've loomed those. We're going to continue up the center to the middle. Now we're going to take the right side, go to the center, the left side to the center. And we're almost at the end. See, it didn't take that long to do. And then the left side. Now what you want to do is, before you get to your locking band, just double check your work and make sure that everything has been properly loomed. And so now we're going to show you how to do the locking band. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lock all of those bands in place. So when you look and see, you have a lot of bands going on here, so aren't you glad you put those locking bands on first? So you're going to pull on the locking bands so that when you dig in to the bands, you'll be able to see where those two bands are that you had. So what you're going to do is you hold on to this and you pull this out, a wiggle, and you're going to put them onto your hook. So push that back, push this on. So see how you have, these are the same bands, but now there's the one end and the other end. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the top ones and you're going to put it over the bottom and take it off of the hook. Now you only have 2 bands left on your hook. You give it a pull, don't go crazy because you don't want to break them, but give it a nice tug and that will lock it into place. So now you're ready to take it off the loom. So now what you want to do, we're going to pull this off the loom. It's nice, it comes off easily off the crazy loom, but you don't want to go crazy. You just take your time because you don't want to have any bands break. So I'm going to kind of hold it by the top, and then you can pull it by the bottom, by the legs. Then you pull off, and the rest of it comes off really easily. So then what you can do is you can stretch her out and get her to go in place with her legs and everything. And then what you can do is you can add on the button with the face to make it personalized. And see her little striped sweater and skirt and matching ponytails. She's ready to rock. See how easy it is to make your little girl band buddy?